Hey, so here we are, voice reveal, I guess. I really don't know what to actually say as an introduction, except for the fact that I'm not English and that I'm really sorry if I pronounce things not the way they're supposed to be pronounced. But I hope you like the video nonetheless. So that's a part of the story for my characters that I wrote. And well, let's just get into it. Goodbye. The words, little more than a faint whisper, were carried away by the wind. It was a cold night. Confused, the girl opened her eyes. She was lying on a bed of moss. Her surroundings were bathed in a bluish light. As she carefully sat up and took a closer look at her surroundings, she noticed voices that seemed to come from a few people not far away. This room in which the teenager was located was part of a cave, separated by lichens that hung from the ceiling like a long curtain. The cave was illuminated by light that seemed to come from a small stream. It disappeared into the rock before the lichen curtain. When she got up, she leaned against the wall, still feeling a little insecure. What the hell is this? Where am I? With small steps, she made her way towards the lichen curtain and the voices. When she arrived in the main room, the 6 people turned in her direction and stopped their conversation. A tall boy with black hair immediately walked up to her. After stopping in front of her, he looked at her suspiciously. Somewhat intimidated, the girl wanted to take a step back, but she knew it wouldn't change the situation. Running away seemed pointless here, so she took a step forward. "Who are you?" he asked skeptically, his eyes narrowing. Looking for support, she reached to grab a few of the lichens, looking at the abnormally glowing stream. Now it would be time for her to tell her name or something else. There was nothing except emptiness and a sudden uncertainty caused by the realization of the problem. Helplessly, she looked at her counterpart again, as if that would give her an answer, or a hint. She noticed the crimson rabbit ears on his head. After looking at the other people, she also recognized various different animal characteristics in them. Am I high? The black-haired boy cleared his throat. "I have no idea," she replied hesitantly, to which the boy seemed to react confused. A blonde girl, a little shorter than she was, scurried past him and looked at the stranger. "What do you remember?" she asked in a calm voice. The teenager shook her head. Then a bitter smile crept onto her face. "A squared plus b squared equals c squared?" she asked, whereupon the black-haired boy touched his forehead and sighed. "So nothing of particular importance for our current situation," he said, a little frustrated. "Is there really nothing?" the blonde asked, but the girl shook her head in resignation. After a second of silence, the two took a step back, and another boy with greenish mint hair and a pair of bear ears, who stood opposite her a few meters away, looked at her curiously. "Is she staying with us until she despawns?" he asked, glancing at the other people. "She's leaving," the black-haired boy announced, and promptly a taller, dark-skinned girl pulled the teenager to her. She had a pair of pink wings with green tips. They matched her hair perfectly in terms of color and pattern. It was also dyed this way. "Toby, you can't do that. Who knows what will happen if we send her away? There's no way that's possible," she scolded, and the boy gave her an annoyed look. "That's not our inconvenience," he stated coldly. "You're crazy. Flora is right. Yes, we don't know her, but we can't just send her away either," commented a girl with water blue hair. She had flattened her fox ears and stared at the boy challengingly. Toby wrinkled his nose and turned away from the group, his eyes fixed on the blue stream. "Fine, but she needs a name until she remembers her own. Furthermore, Molly and Benjamin are responsible for her. After all, they were the ones who found her," he clarified, and kicked the stone into the watercourse. Splashing echoed loudly in the cave room. "What do you want to be called?" asked the blue-haired girl, who had jumped happily to the other side in the meantime, a curious undertone in her voice. After the girl thought for a moment, she shrugged her shoulders. She had absolutely no idea. Besides, everything was so sudden. Toby, who had turned around again, rolled his eyes. "What was the place where she was found, Benjamin?" he asked, and the girl was briefly afraid that he would demand to bring her back there. In the end, she still didn't know where she was. However, she did not dare to ask either. "By the river, on top of the cliff. at the level of the lotus blossoms, a boy with white hair replied hesitantly. Did he think the same? The other was silent for a moment. He seemed to be thinking. Then her name will be Lotus until she recalls her actual name. She won't be here for long anyway, he announced, pushing the newly baptized Lotus to the blonde and the white-haired boy. If you take her to places that represent some of the more common reasons to be here, she might get her memory back faster. From now on, it's your job, and don't forget our agreement. The two next to Lotus nodded seriously, and before she had a chance to ask one of the 1,000 questions that were on her mind, the white-haired boy grabbed her by the wrist and left the cave room with her and the other girl. So that's Benjamin and Molly. Molly walked beside Lotus and gave her an encouraging smile. We'll get your memory back soon, she said calmly. Memories always come back, sooner or later, so you don't have to worry. If she was honest, Lotus didn't know what concerned her the most. The fact that she had woken up in a cave and had no idea how she got there? Or the fact that these people here were some weird kind of hybrids? Maybe it's the situation as a whole? If she had woken up in the hospital, she would have guessed an accident, but here? What the hell is this place? The group wandered through the darkness for what felt like an eternity, and Lotus was amazed at how the other two found their way around so well in the pitch black. She herself had run into a wall twice until her companions had taken pity on her and taken her by the hand to guide her. The embarrassment she felt at first gradually turned into fear. Distant thunder grew louder and louder, uncertainty began to grow, and at some point, Molly and Benjamin almost had to drag her with them. Suddenly, she realized that the exit to the cave was behind a wall of water. Why was she afraid all of the time? It was just a very big waterfall. Fascinated, she stopped while her companions waited patiently until she broke out of her freeze again. So, there you have it. That's the first part of this story, or of the backstory. I'm actually kind of nervous what you think about this and my voice, my way of pronouncing words and all of that, because I never did that. And yes, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I'll get that new animation done as soon as possible. See you sometime around, maybe.